Greetings, everyone, and anyone that may tune in. It's your boy Owayo back at it again. I wanted to speak on religion and what they are scared of. The religion are scared of everyone becoming like their so-called enlightened teachers, prophets. So they have been withholding information from the public. For the longest time, they used this to maintain power. Them having more information than the general public, like being able to read, which most of the general public were unable to read, and being the only ones who are able to interpret those scriptures. What are in those scriptures? They are symbols. They are symbols for awakening of the soul and the DNA. So you find even in religions like Christianity, they end up saying like the mark of the beast and all this other stuff. The mark of the beast they're talking about is the 666. This is the magic square of the sun, which has six. It has six columns and six rows, each adding up to 111. And when you add them all, they add up to 66. This is the DNA they're talking about. But they're scared of people who will teach people how to awaken their DNA. So they call them beast. And this beast thing that they call, they have made their followers to be scared of it. That's why even most of the time when you find people, for example, like in the case of Jesus, when he was teaching people about how to awaken their DNA and explaining those items to the people, people called him evil priest, called him other different things. They say he was blaspheming against God. It's because of the authority of the already established authority of the religion. And what they cannot avoid at this kind of time that we're in is the change that is at hand. They can no longer control. They can no longer control the narrative. People can read these scriptures, people can interpret them, and they can find the hidden symbols in those scriptures, and they don't need to read them more like babies anymore. So a lot of things will change. The symbols in religion will change. That's why even religion has changed throughout time, because the kind of energy that's in the air usually changes with the cycle that people are in, and that has also shaped how people come together to believe and interpret their reality. So we are also in another phase of the cycle changing, and this is how it will be reflected in religious organizations. More of the hidden teachings will become open, and people will be able to decode them, and the ability of people withholding information so that they can remain powerful will no longer be practical for people to do things like that anymore. But as the awareness keeps on intensifying, and people start feeling their depths in their essence, the old narratives will no longer be making sense unless someone breaks down what those narratives were explaining in a deeper way that relates with the time that we are in. Those simple explanations, guilt tripping mechanism are slowly beginning to fade away, and people will slowly start to realize the power in themselves. This will also be reflected in the government structures and how representation is done. This will be seen in, for example, in politics and leadership, as leaders soften their hearts towards the people they lead, unlike the brute force they used to have had in the past, because this time will call for a different kind of action, because the people are calling for a different kind of reality, because the energy is cooking something that the soup we're in right now needs to change and is in the process of changing. So even as people go on following their religious ideologies, there will be people among those religions who will stand up and start revealing the plain truth of those scriptures to the people, and they'll even begin writing new one. That's why people were having troubles with, let's say, for example, Jesus, if you follow the narrative, because he was changing what people thought that it is the truth, that this is how things are supposed to be, and he was coming to change, and people usually are resistant to change, and they label it bad. Anybody who's coming to change things, they are bad. Why are you taking our culture away? The same will apply in many indigenous cultures. It will be reshaped in different ways. Different people with different mental capacity will arise, and they will organize the ideas to be relevant for the time that we're in. But obviously it will not be all people, but it will be a new wave of thought that will be arising. And this is also the time where indigenous people will start feeling their connection with the land, because the land is calling on to them to heal the land so that we can have a better future. Once our land is healthy, our weather will stabilize, and a lot of calamities will reduce, and the mentality will evolve with the need of time. So all these changes that are taking place will lead to the deeper seeking in the human social affairs, political affairs, and economical affairs. New economic organizations will be established, the ones that we haven't thought of before, and it will be able to destabilize the current bankers' dominance of our system and everything, which they design and push it upon us, and they've created like a form of slavery that we are all supposed to embody in order to survive in this their system that they are created. But the ideas of the time will not sustain such a mentality, because the people will never accept such a thing as they begin to realize the truth and the depth of their reality each and every day, as they begin to hearing new sounds, new ideas from the same old scriptures they have been reading without understanding what's being said. And they'll be able to relate with this in their own personal life, and they'll begin to live this new way, interacting with the environment in this new way. You'll find a Christian hugging a tree and not assuming that that's a new age, because they'll be able to relate with the hidden meaning that's in those scriptures that people just overlook them and misinterpret them, because people who sought power, because our politics was designed by religion today, it's coming from Rome, and Rome politics began with the church. So these people designed it so that they can withhold power from the public and the rest of the population. The priests become the monotony and the interpreters of law. So we see the same thing being replicated on different levels of our reality in our present day, and this will change. And when this change comes, be among those who are influencing this change. Don't expect things to work like the old ways. You're not longer in the old ways. You're in a new time, a new era, a new season. Things work a different way here now, and also your action will be reflected differently here now. The things that people used to do 10 years ago to feel relevant and to feel like they're achieving something will change, and you also need to change yourself to be suitable with the energy that we are in. You don't want to hold the old energy in yourself when the atmosphere is ripe for a different kind of energy. You want to be in sync with the new kind of frequency and thought current that will be sweeping across the world. And with this, I'd say peace, love, upendo. Let's build bridges as we collectively shape our interaction and our experience in this place we call Earth.